I grew up on a farm in Kansas throwing hay bales in the summer, fixing barbed wire fence. And this is something I struggle with. My kids are growing up in a vastly different environment than I did financially, experientially. Like I didn't ride on an airplane until I think I was a junior or senior in high school the first
Dude,
time. Like
same here. That's so funny. Yeah.
my kids like had a passport. We could have been smuggling kids out of the country because it was like a 5 month old. And I'm like, how do you even,
That's so
so,
funny. Yeah, same here. Yeah.
so there was a conversation, actually, a guy named Taylor that's going to be coming up on the podcast. And we were just talking about kids and this subject came up and he was in a therapy session and he said he was really like worried for his kids, just like spoiling them and
Right.
having them take things for granted and all of that. And he somehow his wife came up and they were talking about she didn't come from much and how she'd like kind of worked her way into her own success. And the therapist said, well, your wife did okay without coming from much, you know? And I sometimes struggle with that because as a dad, never went to Chuck E. Cheese once, ever as a kid. And I remember I would see the commercials and I'm just like, someday. And I probably took each of my kids to Chuck E. Cheese monthly for like as long as they wanted to go, right? And so it's this kind of balance you try to play of give them some of the fun stuff you never had, but at the same time, you don't want them to be spoiled and take it for granted and turn into those kids we all like don't like to be around, you know? So
For
what
sure.
what are your thoughts just going back and like what you learned as a kid? Obviously that treated you pretty well, work ethic. And now as you go into raising kids of your own, like what's your balance there?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. So I did not grow up poor. So I just want to make
Mhm,
sure, like I did not grow up poor, but we did not grow up rich. So we did
mhm,
not travel. We did not go anywhere. We stayed home. We maybe went out to eat like once a month, maybe. And that's even then it's like fresh choice type stuff. Like, but we always had what we needed. We always had what we needed. We always had food on, food there and clothes on our back. So I'm not saying that, but we were not, it was not abundance mindset, right?
mhm.
My wife, very much so different. Her dad was very, very successful when she was young, and she's traveled all over. Like she's been given a lot, right?
Mhm.
But she's amazing. She doesn't take things for granted. She's hardworking. And we both come from very different backgrounds, but although we met in high school, so we obviously we connected there. But I've seen a lot of people in my high school because I went to a private Catholic high school because my parents did prioritize education. For in their sense, prioritizing education meant to go to a private Catholic school.
Mhm.
And I met a lot of people there, some with a lot of money, some with not as much money. Everybody, no one was like super poor, but some people were super rich and some people were kind of, doing okay. And what I learned through that experience was that the way the parents parented, regardless of how much money people had, if you parented the appropriate way by teaching them the value of a dollar, by teaching them that this is special to be able to go do these things. Do not assume that everybody does this. This is special. This is a treat. Like I think it's the way that you come off. I think for our kids, they have definitely have privilege. They've traveled, they've done a lot of different things. But we always try and have them keep that in perspective, that it's always please, it's thank you, it's being grateful, it's being very, very blessed. Like we're very grateful. And I think if you have that mindset that nothing is given, this has been earned and you guys are doing great and we're going to give you this, but you're not going to get everything. If we're going to go to the store, you're going to get one thing. I think those little micro things over time build character where when someone goes to Tahoe, like for your experience, my children were over the moon. Have they been to Tahoe? Have they done something similar? Sure, but never that way. And and even if they had done it that way, they're just grateful to be there. Whereas it's
Mhm.
not like it's I guess the difference would be as parents, if we had been like, oh, this is fine. It says like, wow, could you imagine how amazing this is? This is beautiful. We get to go do this. Then the kids realize like this is something special and they keep it at a high level their entire life instead of it just being the norm, I guess is a way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that, man. And I love surrounding myself with people that can go deep on topics like this that matter. Um, so, no,
I
you're
think
good.
about this like for my daughter or for my son. How do I set them up for long-term success? Yes, with their fitness and so, but like finding a significant other, right? and finding joy and happiness in their life. If we condition them today that it's all rainbows and unicorns, you're going to get anything you want, you're going to do anything you want, you're going to, like, we're going to go to Cabo every week, you're going to stay at the Four Seasons. Like, if we condition them too much, the expectation of what success is, or the expectation of what brings you joy, becomes an your ability to get there will be very slim. And so what we need to do is be aware of that, of what are we conditioning our children to think is going to bring them joy. And if we use things that are materialistic, like trips and whatever, it will never be enough, because they're always going to want to seek more. But if we find ways to show them joy through other things, and these other events are just things that occur in your life, that's where I think success comes from.